So Five Nights at Freddy's 2 is officially out in theaters, and it has not gotten a very positive reception, though the die-hard fans seem to, I guess, somewhat accept it. Critics and a lot of average moviegoers seem to absolutely despise this film. So is the film as bad as it seems? Well, yes, it is pretty bad. I'm not gonna lie.
Know your fucking place, trash!
I gave the first film a lot more leeway due to the fact that it was the first film, it was getting things started, and it really did seem geared towards the fans, so I was able to let it go as long as they improved on everything that is going to be in the second film. And there are some improvements from the first film, however, this film is just not very good. And I was going to debate whether to do a video essay on the Five Nights at Freddy's 2 film or just a rant video, and I think we can just settle on a rant video because oh boy, this film has a lot of negative aspects to it.
That's not a theory, that's a fact. Yeah.
But before we get into that, make sure you guys subscribe down below and hit the bell icon for it will notify you whenever I have a new upload that is released. And also, what were your thoughts on the Five Nights at Freddy's 2 film? Did you enjoy it? Did you not like it at all? Comment below and let me know. Without further ado, let's get into what I thought really didn't work about this film. But let's get some of the positives out of the way. I do think that the animatronics still look amazing in this film, despite the fact that in some lighting you can kind of tell that it's people in costume. However, when it's in darker lighting and some of the more interesting set pieces that they have for this film, I will say that they do still look really good. Also, I'm not gonna lie, the way they did the marionette and the first possession of the first victim in this film actually did kind of catch me off guard and did have some level of creepy factor to it. And Vanessa's character I do find vastly more interesting than most of the characters in this film due to the fact that she's William Afton's daughter, so she's dealing with a lot of grief due to the dead children, and also she's trying to learn to cope with the fact that he's not around anymore and that she doesn't have to listen to the past trauma that she's dealing with, and she can just go past that and live a regular life. All good stuff at the beginning. Yeah, let's go ahead and get into the slop. The film is clearly geared more towards the fans on some capacity. However, there's only so much you can do with the statement it's for the fans before you just realize that the film is just lazily written. I think that the first half of the film really is incredibly boring.
And actually, that wasn't very nice. It was horrible.
It's a lot of setup for what's to come. There's a lot of interesting ideas that are kind of sprinkled throughout. However, it's not very well done. You're really dragging to kind of catch up with these characters that we already essentially know. Also, not going to lie, a lot of stupid decisions that lead up to the animatronics finally getting screen time properly. Just lots and lots of stupid decisions. Like, for example, when Michael's character, Michael Afton I should say, leads them into the original pizzeria, the main ghost girl hunter strays off from the rest of the group and turns off a winding music box that you have no idea what it's doing. It seems very what would the word be, contrived for the story. Essentially, since Michael Afton is behind all of this in the story, and don't worry, I'll get to him in a minute, it's like, why even lead the ghost hunters into the facility to cause all this mayhem when you could have just turned off the music box yourself? That to me just made no sense, and it felt incredibly contrived. Also, the Marionette's big plan is to have Vanessa basically release the building locks on the animatronics so they can finally free roam the city and take out all the adults because she feels angry at adults for letting her being killed. But the way they kind of go about it really seemed very contrived as well, where they essentially have them threatening Abby, or threatening to hurt Abby in front of Vanessa to get her to give the code, whereas in the film you're seeing the marionette basically infect everybody that she comes into contact with. So it's like, why doesn't she just possess Vanessa to get her to get the code? That to me also felt incredibly stupid. Also, the character of Abby, I really didn't like in this film. It seems like they kind of wrote her to be much more naive and at such a level that just does not seem very realistic. Like, why in the world would you want to go back to see your friends that in the second half of the original Fnaf movie literally tried to stuff you and kill you and put you into a suit? Like, it almost seems very naive that you would want to go back to someone who, or to these machines that practically almost killed you and your brother. But no, they write her to be to the point where she thinks that these are still her friends, which I guess the child-killing animatronics can be your friends, I suppose. Also, there's a lot of just silly, goofy nonsense that's sprinkled throughout that just really makes the animatronics not seem scary at all. This film has no fear factor whatsoever. They even try to jump scare you at multiple points, but at the same time, it's just not such a scary movie that the jump scares don't even really hit at all. Even despite the fact that the subject matter on the backstory of the child murders and stuffing them into animatronic suits in and of itself could have a much darker undertone and can be portrayed as being terrifying, but they never fully go to those points where I once felt scared. But the biggest sin to me in the film is in the portrayal of Michael Afton, a very emotionally complex character from the original games and essentially is our lead anti-hero. His story is something of redemption in the Five Nights at Freddy's franchise and essentially trying to right the wrongs of the past, where he had bullied his brother and had gotten him killed by the bite of 83, and essentially trying to make up for the sins of his father and killing all those kids, and he's trying to release their souls in the story. It's a story of redemption, something that could be emotionally compelling, something that's far more interesting in the portrayal than what they had in this film, where he was essentially like, hey, my dad was evil, so I'm gonna follow in his footsteps and be evil and get people killed. It's such a betrayal of such an emotionally complex character from the lore. And also, even though this film is quote-unquote for the fans, I'm a Five Nights at Freddy's fan, and I still find the original lore a far more compelling story than whatever schlop we got in this film. If you want a good Five Nights at Freddy's movie, you take what is in the source material and you leave it at that and you build upon it. That is an incredible story that you can run with and put on the big screen, and people would get it. People would actually connect with it, but I don't understand what went wrong here. In my opinion, I think that you should just skip the Five Nights at Freddy's 2 movie. There's not a lot of substance here that can really be absorbed except for Easter eggs and maybe set up for a potentially awesome third movie. And if you want to see a good Five Nights at Freddy's movie, two things you can watch: the Fnaf VHS tapes, which are incredibly terrifying, or you can also watch MatPat Game Theory's Ultimate Timeline on the Fnaf series. That timeline, the way the storytelling is done and everything, and how it explains the lore, is a far better movie than what we got with this Five Nights at Freddy's 2 film.